born from untouched lands, naturally filtered through ancient lava rock. You are what you drink. Be a force of nature. Icelandic glacial. The purest tasting water on earth, born from untouched lands, naturally filtered through ancient lava rock. You are what you drink. Be a force of nature. Icelandic glacial. The purest tasting water on earth, born from untouched lands, naturally filtered through ancient lava rock. You are what you drink. Be a force of nature. Icelandic glacial. The purest tasting water on earth, born from untouched lands, naturally filtered through ancient lava rock. You are lava rock. You are what you drink. Be a force of nature. Icelandic glacial. The purest tasting water on earth, born from untouched lands, naturally filtered through ancient lava rock. You are what you drink. Be a force of nature. Icelandic glacial. The purest tasting water on earth, born from untouched lands, naturally filtered through ancient lava rock. You are what you drink. Be a force of nature. Icelandic glacial. The purest tasting water on earth, born from untouched lands, naturally filtered through ancient lava rock. You are what you drink. Be a force of nature. Icelandic glacial. The purest tasting water on earth, born from untouched lands, naturally filtered through ancient lava rock. You are what you drink. Be a force of nature. Icelandic glacial. The purest tasting water on earth, born from untouched lands, naturally filtered through ancient lava rock. You are what you drink. Be a force of nature. Icelandic glacial.
Okay, time to get started here in the second round. And okay, let's get the pairings. So on board 1 we have Casa Corley playing against Itani Puya. We actually had them on the camera. Casa with his full set of hair. Can't say the same. So Casa with white pieces, and Casa Corley for sure, he is a dangerous player. And one of my favorite games was a game he played in Politika against I think his name is Moisenko, strong Ukrainian grandmaster who he defeated very nicely with the black pieces. In this one we have King's Indian Fianchetto, where black goes c5. So a closed structure. I mean, black could go for a Benoni structure, but he waits to take on d5, and white decides to release attention. And interesting stuff here, black is sacrificing the exchange. So it's actually Itani Puya who's playing aggressively here. So he's hoping for compensation, especially on the long diagonal, and trying to use the fact that the light squares around white's king have been significantly weakened. But there's also a pawn down the drain here. We're going to get the pawn on e2 though. And now it's a question, can black generate enough play? So the queen goes back to b7, queen d1, knight e5. So the knight is attempting to give this check here, but Casa plays f4, which attacks the knight, but also defends the f3 square. So if white can finish the element, should be happy, but still some problems with his bishop. We need to get it out, and in doing so we have to take care of the pawn. So small issues, not a bad time situation at all for Casa. So yeah, perhaps hanging in the balance this one. On board 2, Gukesh, who survived somewhat of a scare yesterday, has the white pieces today, and we have another King's Indian, this time more of a main line. Bishop to e5 castles, bishop to g4, which is, well, not the most popular. In fact, let's check it out. It is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It is the 8th most popular move. Of course, the Mar del Plata knight c6 by far the most popular, and then knight a6, e takes d4, the old move knight bd7, etc. So Thibault already surprising his opponent probably, but judging by the time that Gukesh has spent, perhaps not that big of a surprise. Bishop to e3, a knight to a6, knight to d2, and black retreats. So white is generally happy to trade the light squared bishops with this structure, because at the end of it, black usually needs his light squared bishop when he's going for a pawn storm on the king side. So h5, f3, knight h7, maybe going for some kind of plan of trading bishops. Rook b1, f5 finally, b4. White looks quite ready to start operations here on the queen side. b6, queen b3, finally bishop f6, probably intending to try and trade here, and white does not prevent it. He plays c5. So now the issue for black is, can he allow c6? So does he have time for bishop g5? Probably not, because I think c6 will be pretty devastating. Of course we trade first. Well, this will hang. Maybe we can do this. I'm wondering if we can flick and move like f4 and then c6, because the problem is, I mean, we can't really go here, the bishop is dead, and if it goes here, where is this knight going? We might even just win it with rook a1 next move. So bishop g5 probably not an option for black. So I wonder what black is going to do here. Looks pretty good for white, at least to me, but okay, the King's Indian can be a tricky opening. Well, on board 3 we have Irene Sukander playing against Hans Niemann. And what's going on here? Let's see the opening. Sukander with white, Niemann with black, close Sicilian with bishop e5. Not too fairly similar to what Carlsen and Caruana played. Well, actually Caruana with white at the World Championship match, except the knight is not yet on f3, so a slight difference. White tries to use that difference to quickly take care of the queen side by getting the bishop out, and Hans tries to, well, throw a spanner in the works with rook b8. So I'm wondering why black doesn't take on b2. Surely that was the idea with rook b8, but he doesn't. I mean, white could have taken on c5. So one wonders what's wrong with this. What's wrong with this? Well, black is falling a little bit behind in development, but maybe it's just not worth it. Maybe just play more like queen c1 and just take this pawn next move. We're not even down a pawn, and black is still lagging a bit in development. I don't know. So why play rook b8 if you don't take on b2? Not sure I fully understand. So d5 takes. Do have a threat now of d4, but Sukander takes on c5, d4, knight to e4, f5, and now queen d5. Double attack, hitting the bishop and hitting the pawn. Sukander defends the bishop and gives up the g2 pawn. So we have a very, very unusual position. And now a pawn on a7, but is it a healthy pawn? Well, what should white do actually? I think the problem for white here is you don't really have a safe spot for your king. I mean, you can't castle queenside, queen takes a2, and this looks like, it looks somewhat suicidal. You know, once we come on the long diagonal, we might even, I don't know, start with something like bishop h6, then queen f3, something to that effect. It looks scary at least. So white tries to find something to play for and grabs the pawn on a7. So at least we're up a pawn. Okay, I'm going to close the, well, coverage of the top board by looking at Adiban against Erik Rosen. And that was another Sicilian as well, e4, c5, c3. I seem to recall Adiban playing a nice miniature in the c3 Sicilian when he won the tournament a few years back. d5 takes, a queen takes. Adiban won in 2018, I believe. So fairly standard stuff here. Knight to a3. This knight very often wants to come to b5, trying to take advantage of the poor positioning of the queen. Knight c6, bishop to e3, takes, and knight b5. Important in between move, because otherwise this stuff would be hanging. Now queen back to d8. This has all been seen before. Takes, bishop takes. But I think queen d5 might be a new move here, and that's what Eric played. The most popular move is bishop e7, which looks fairly logical. You know, just get the pieces out and castle. But queen d5 I'm not too sure about, because the queen already came out to d5, went back to d8, and now again back to d5. So what's the idea here? Adebán plays queen b3. We have bishop queen to e4 check, and now Adebán starts active operations. He's arguing that, well, the queen lost a lot of time, so he's gonna, you know, attack it some more and try to get active pieces. In fact, trouble on the long diagonal. He gets this pawn here on b7. Black has to take. You can't pin because the bishop will simply come back to c6 with a discovered attack. For the third time, the queen comes to d5. This could be the immortal queen d5 game. And white wins this pawn. So black is clearly playing for trying to hold on here, but that could be difficult with a potential pass pawn here in the future, which white can start to push after some preparatory moves, maybe king e2 and bringing the rooks over, maybe even castles queenside. So Adebán probably having an easy time here. We have some games that have already finished. Sebastian Masek came to see me here earlier to ask about the pop quiz and other interesting things. And let's see what's going on here. Some battery problems. We're okay. We're fine. Yeah, Masej against he had the black pieces against Maria Bertnik. Maria from Ukraine. Nice to have these Ukrainians playing here. And Masej plays the King's Indian, which he has, well, for as long as I remember. I've had him on my team here in Iceland several times, many years ago, and he has played the Reykjavik Goblin many times. So somebody to look out for if you're studying the King's Indian. And he plays the line with knight to a6, bishop e3, c6, knight d7. So nothing out of the ordinary just yet. f5 now, very aggressive. And one would tend to be a little bit nervous with the queen lined up against the rook, but also there are a lot of pieces in between. And white needs to worry about this pawn coming to f4. So probably you have to move the bishop. Maybe bishop h6 is the move here, but Bertnik took on f5, took on e5, and then played bishop h6. But now black has these dynamic pawns, which can be used to push e4 and maybe follow up in the future. We have a trade on g7, rook a to d1. Looks more like perhaps some kind of Leningrad Dutch at this point. Now it comes to e5, stands quite well there. And I wonder what happened here, because the game didn't last that much longer. And here queen e3 was played. Double question mark. Because f4. Knight comes to c5. And then h3 hangs. Big problems for white. which in fact white didn't solve. Yeah, this is just falling apart here. Knight e to d3, intending to hit this one, and Bergnik didn't need to see more. In fact, it's hard to find a square for this knight, and if you do, we can take on e1. So white is going to lose more material, already lost a pawn, and the king is completely compromised. So quick day at the office for Sebastian Marseille. Hello, Anja. Hello. Another game that finished is Alexander Fier against Sigurbjörn Björnsson. Fier very aggressive. Let's see what happened in this one. Queen b6, slightly unusual. Knight to a3. Bishop a4. And computer not liking what's going on here and gives white actually a big plus here. e5 was played. Knight has to move again, and not d4. So probably something is wrong if white can get this center, can then push this knight away, and black doesn't really have anything in compensation for this. So he pushes the knight, and now he pushes the other pawn, and he uses the fact that the bishop is hitting the knight, so you can't take on e5. So black has to retreat even more. Knight b4, bishop e3 with tempo, bishop e3. Okay, we have to retreat, but the bishop is on a nice diagonal. d6, queen to d2. Again, problem piece. And now we see that it's probably difficult for black to hold on to this knight, and in fact he just lost it here. So yeah, black went severely wrong in the opening. I don't remember Sigurbjörn playing the Sicilian a lot, so perhaps a little bit of inexperience when it comes to the opening. And yeah, here it's just a matter of cleaning up. White is up a piece. Okay, black has one pawn for it, but not much to play for, so Sigurbjörn called it a day. We have a quick draw in Lipsiewski against Miderminko. Probably an eventful game, if that's the case, but let's just quickly see what happened. It was an Italian game. Well, Fabi had white, so can't be too happy with this result, but maybe he just wanted to save his energy. Well, he's probably just worse with the isolated pawn here, to be honest. So, tactical, draw over, slightly worse, and your opponent will most likely take it, so that's what happened. Johan Hjartarson, he had a difficult game yesterday, but he managed to get some revenge for his fellow countryman, Þröstur Þórðarson. And Johan defeated Rafael de Koning here in the morning round. Played knight f3 on the first move. Slow, solid build up. Queen b6, bishop e3. This is a solid line for white, and I think one of the main plans is some cases to put the knight on c2 to facilitate playing b4 at some point. But here white gets b4 in, kind of for free, and now he can play b5. So now the queenside initiative of white becomes pretty nice. But here I don't think black's next move was very good, but probably he wasn't having some problems anyway. And he took on d3, and this looks like simply just way too much. Johan Flechten b takes c6, took on d5 even, before taking on d3. So this means that black's intended response was to take on d3 and then take on c4, but Johan simply interposed some moves. and now it's too much. I believe probably we're on a slight delay, so there are some moves to be played, but black's position looks fairly hopeless. I mean, c7 is coming, and then this pawn drops. So what does black even do here? I'm not sure. So a nice win for Johan. Let's see. Yeah, I'm gonna take a small break.
The purest tasting water on earth, born from untouched lands, naturally filtered through ancient lava rock. You are what you drink. Be a force of nature. Icelandic glacial. The purest tasting water on earth, born from untouched lands, naturally filtered through ancient lava rock. You are what you drink. Be a force of nature. Icelandic glacial. The purest tasting water on earth, born from untouched lands, naturally filtered through ancient lava rock. You are what you drink. Be a force of nature. Icelandic glacial. The purest tasting water on earth, born from untouched lands, naturally filtered through ancient lava rock. You are what you drink. Be a force of nature. Icelandic glacial. The purest tasting water on earth, born from untouched lands, naturally filtered through ancient lava rock. You are what you drink. Be a force of nature. Icelandic glacial. The purest tasting water on earth, born from untouched lands, naturally filtered through ancient lava rock. You are what you drink. Be a force of nature. Icelandic glacial.
Okay. This is the board of Pragnananda. He's playing white against Marina Brunello. And seems to be a quiet position, but white has this long-term match. He has this nice light square bishop, which can cause some problems in the black camp. But for the moment, black is solid, and white needs to deal with the issue of the knight coming to f5, which hits this, threatens this. So perhaps some concrete problems to solve before white can start to enjoy his bishop pair. Let's see what happened on the first board. Yeah, not a lot of moves. We had f4, knight went into c4, and Casa offered a queen trade, which naturally Puya declined. And played queen d7. Yeah, naturally black wants to keep the queens on. He sacrificed the exchange. He's down a clean exchange, but he's playing for compensation. And for the moment, the compensation is that it's hard to get this bishop out. If white can solve this problem, it should be better. But it's not easy to do, so in practice perhaps difficult to play, and that's maybe what Puya was counting on here. Let's see some more boards here, such as Max Varmadam against Justin Sarker. Max with white pieces, and his position looks good. It was a Dutch. Classical Dutch. Queen e8, b4, knight c6, a3, trade on c3, and bishop f6. So generally in these lines, black is playing for e5, and if he manages to do that, he tends to be close to being fine. But white is obviously very solid still. Knight d2, h5. So Sarker goes for the attack. Yeah, I think he tends to be an aggressive player. I remember one time at the Reykjavik Open he played the King's Gambit. So he takes f3, queen takes f3, h4, trying to soften up the king side. Rook c to e1, knight e6 and e4. So e4 is an aggressive move because black can take on d4. And what's going on there? What's going on there? I'm not sure actually. Why can't black just take this pawn? Maybe can we be clever? Something like queen f2. Knight goes back, then we can take this maybe and take on f5. This is incoming. Maybe something like this. Which probably applies also if we take first like this and queen f2. There's knight c2 also though, so I don't know. What's going on here? Takes d4. Yeah, maybe queen d3 also, yeah. I will cheat a little bit. Yeah, queen d3 has the same attack but covers c2, which was a problem in the other line. And now the knight doesn't really have a lot of squares, and e takes f5 becomes an issue. Can't take here because rook takes e4, and this hangs. Maybe even knight takes e4 is better. We're gonna have to take a short break again.
The purest tasting water on earth, born from untouched lands, naturally filtered through ancient lava rock. You are what you drink. Be a force of nature. Icelandic glacial. The purest tasting water on earth, born from untouched lands, naturally filtered through ancient lava rock. You are what you drink. Be a force of nature. Icelandic glacial. The purest tasting water on earth, born from untouched lands, naturally filtered through ancient lava rock.
Yeah, it's still a bit quiet on all fronts. I think this game might end in a draw somehow. Some repetition of moves like rook d1, the queen, okay, queen f5, queen d3. Might be some kind of repetition. Probably queen e6. But yeah, the main thing is how do we get the pieces out because of this. We don't want to play b3 because of the weakness of the diagonal still. So it's kind of hard for white to untangle. But if you can, then he should be fine. Well, more than fine actually. Okay, let's see some more games. Let's see Kukas again. We had this nice looking King's Indian with c5. Black took on c5. He took on a6. Followed by bc. Finally this trade, which is generally desirable for black. But it takes with knight, yeah. It takes with the queen. Maybe just knight c4 and not much is happening. So this looks difficult for black. He's not getting his usual attacking play here, and white has some pressure on the queen side. But then again, how are we crashing through? How do we increase the pressure? Because let's say knight b5. Well, it's not even white's move. It's not even white's move. Let's say something like h4, knight b5. We go here. Just protecting this. Okay, let's try this. We attack this. We just come back. So the breakthrough would have to be something else probably. So maybe not as easy as it looks. I mean, optically this looks very good for white, this pawn structure, but maybe it's hard to break through. So I'm wondering if he had something better earlier, or if something went wrong. Hard to say. So Sukander against Niemann. We had to look at that after bishop takes a7. Niemann played rook a8. Bishop went back. e5. So black has a nice central formation with the pawns, but white is banking on the flank. c4. Then eventually we can start pushing. Rook f1. Queen b2. Bishop a7, rook b7. Where do we put the bishop? Do we have to play queen a3? That's such an ugly move. Maybe we can take this actually. It must be the only move. Because knight somewhere we can come back. I say the only move because where does the bishop go? If we go here we simply take and take pin. So probably f takes e5. What's going on there? Probably we take. We take the piece. Black is down a pawn, but he has, I think, very good compensation for it. He has the bishop pair. The bishop is threatening to come in here, and white doesn't really have good shelter for the king. Meanwhile, black will just castle. I don't think we can take on d4 in any capacity on account of problems on the long diagonal here. We can protect this, but let's just throw and move. So yeah, I think this looks good for Niemann, but still very complicated. Meanwhile, Erik Rosen was down a pawn, and he still is. g4, rook h to e1, rook e4, h5, f3, and rook takes e4. So the pawn structure has been transformed, but the extra pawn remains. And eventually Adeban will look to push these pawns. I guess we can start with something like rook e1, then try to get the king to c2, b3, c4, etc. So long defense ahead of him, Ergrosen. Let's see if Raunak Sadvani can have a more convincing game than yesterday. He actually turns out he was lucky in two spots where Nigel Pova could have taken over the game. This time he's going for a Leningrad. I like it. I like it, Picasso. c6, queen c2, knight a6, rook b1. Knight comes to c7, b4. And yeah, he protects the pawn. And f4 now by Sadvani. We'd love to take this pawn, but that's probably very dangerous. And in fact, probably knight h5 immediately hits d4 and f4, which you can't both protect, but I was thinking bishop f5 might be good there. But maybe it's not too, I don't know. Now if you go knight here, then d5, so probably you would have to go, I mean e4 we lose the pawns, so we'd have to go bishop e4. Was he willing to just sacrifice a pawn like this? Well, let's see what after g takes f4. It's probably playable just to take it, to be honest. But okay, he played rook to b3, which looks a bit cryptic to me, but must be some idea behind it. I guess some lateral defense. Sadvani took, hg, queen d7, b5. Bishop h3, trying to get something going on the king side, which black very often tries to do in the Leningrad. Knight e6, knight e4, rook a to c8, and we have a trade on f6. I mean, white can't be too unhappy here, to be honest. I think he can just connect the rooks and try to do something on the b file. Might have to worry about another f4 break, f4 perhaps. But my feeling is that white is doing quite well here, actually. Okay, Pragnananda was a bit quiet. It's probably going to be a long game where white tries to take advantage of the bishop pair. You know, put the bishop here and try to improve. I'm interested to see what Hilmir Freyr is up to against Abhijit Gupta. It was a fianchetto Grunfeld, okay. It looks like Hilmir has gambited some pawns here, and Gupta simply took them all, and he's arguing that white doesn't have enough for for the pawns. So the question is, what happens if we play knight to e2, sorry, rook e2, trying to trap the queen? And this is our idea right here, but probably black can just play knight c3 and be fine. Maybe even here, no, not here, but yeah, after queen a3 then this one is coming. Unless there's some other way to try to win the queen, which I don't see at the moment, but I would be a little bit worried with the black pieces. I mean, the queen is a little vulnerable. There are moves like this. If we can introduce the knight as well, then could be a problem. But my feeling is, gut feeling is that this is not enough for Hilmir. Let's see. Yeah, let's have a look at Vignir Vatnar, an Icelandic international master who's chasing his final Grandmaster norm. And he has the black pieces here against Peter Sore. And, well, I'm gonna skip the opening. It was basically a Queen's Gambit declined. Solid, but can be difficult for black to play for a win. And here we have trades, and we have only heavy pieces on the board. So Vignir is trying to put pressure on the A file, but white is putting pressure on B7. So how does black play for the win here? Objectively, I'm not sure he can. But I'm sure he will try. We'll try something. Maybe we can push the A pawn, but I'm not sure what really comes out of that. Okay. Okay, so this will be difficult for Vignir, but okay. I mean, a draw with black is nothing horrible. Lucas Jarmula, where is he from? I saw him mentioned somewhere online. Some board 18. He's from Poland, right? Yeah. A Polish Grandmaster, and he has the white pieces here against Botan Burlaku, which sounds Romanian because it is. But white looks like he's simply up a pawn here and attacking. Did we have another King's Indian? A lot of King's Indians today. Maybe becoming a bit more popular again. So white goes for this typical line where you take on F5 and try to control maybe the E4 square. In this case he didn't, but instead went for the G file, and now he has control of the G file. And in fact he just took the pawn on F3 because he has control of this square. There's no danger coming here. So white is arguing that he simply won a pawn. Now this probably didn't happen. Well, probably it didn't happen. So typical sensory board error. No, actually, we can play this. I thought it was a sensory board error because takes. We have this check. So actually, probably it did happen. So here and now we have to go back. Oh yeah, it was a clever way to evict the queen. Rook H3. And yeah, Jarmula should be doing much better here. Let's see, my friend Brahe, I think he potentially had some problems in the opening. Things are turning around for him. So he played the Kalishnikov, which I don't think he's played too much. And in fact, he made a mistake here, and white could have punished severely here with queen to A4. Which just looks horrible, because if you take on A3, I take this. And queen here I take, and guess what? Bishop take. I can also take, or knight c7. Either way, we're winning material. Knight probably gets back even, so just horrible. So after queen a4, we'd have to do something. But I think we can just take on b4 and win a safe pawn. Yeah, looks like it. Or can we? Well, there's d5 stuff maybe. This actually could be an evil move like this. Yeah, this might be the punishment. Just takes knight c7, and like in the variation before, the knight probably gets out. So Bray escaped here. Knight c2 was played instead. And then we get, more typical positional play where Bray should be able to outplay his opponent. Here it looks like White is giving up. Probably too much. I mean, a weak square here, vulnerable pawn. So this could be tricky. Putting pressure here, but also like the potential of this dark square bishop, both attacking this and coming to this diagonal. Forcing him forward, and now we can start winning stuff. Maybe what? Sorry, black should have gone 8-6 just to stop any counterplay, but Bray thought, okay, 8-6 isn't much. Eventually he'll bring the knight in. Maybe, reroute the bishop at some point. Should be good for black. What about Simon, the Ginger GM? Ginger GM. His position looks pretty good here. Not that material, but strong knight, file control, better pawn structure. Let's see what he played. He played Trompowski, bishop g5, and took an f6. And one way to play versus this is to play 4. Simply blockading these double pawns. Very often White plays g3. At the moment it's not needed because we have this square firmly under control. Queen b3, there are trades. Yeah, so very often we're playing for a good knight against a not so great bishop. Here we have g3. And the position that we currently have on the board. So much more comfortable for White, especially since this bishop is lacking in targets. Doesn't really have anything that it can attack. But White's next problem is where is his play coming from? I mean, where are you gonna, find a weakness to attack, find a maturity to advance? So probably the next step is to bring the king somehow. Maybe f4, bring the king, play either for h3, g4, or try to attack something. But I like his position. With Birkir Isak, let's look at him as well. He's playing against Tanya Sakchev, and Tanya drew her game yesterday, as did Birkir Isak. He drew against Oleg Romanishin, so Birkir Isak looking to have a good start to his tournament, playing solidly here with black. And as I say that, he plays t5, knight h5, which is kind of aggressive for this setup. I'm wondering where black is going to put the king. This looks fairly dodgy. Bishop b1. And rook to c8. It looks very dodgy, in fact. I think this weakening is simply too much. At some point we can take, we can play here, threat to take. And I'm not sure what black is doing, so I don't really like this for a bit here. There was a request to look at Sukander's game. We looked at it a few times and it was actually quite interesting, so we'll revisit it after rook b7. Irene Sukander took on e5. Niemann played knight g4, which allows bishop takes d4. Now it's actually at the moment 3 pawns, but we get 1 pawn back. Starting to look like it might be a little bit too much. Whatever it is that black is doing, b5, queen g2, rook f2. Unfortunately for wait, what? Where does the queen go? h3? Because there are no checks. I mean, the knight is covering this, the other knight is covering h1. So queen h3? But surely things have gone wrong if this is what we're playing for. Maybe some ideas of f4, but... Well, okay, it's a little bit scary, I'm not gonna lie, but surely White should be able to find some move to play here. Again, we'd love to castle queenside, but I will not be allowed to do that because of this bishop. So for the moment, king is still trapped. But what to do? It's a clever suggestion to play queen a3 here. For one, it stops castling, and also threatens some mean things like queen here, followed by some checks. I would be worried about this. So what happens after a move like f4? Knight e4. Should we be worried? There could be a check here. We might be able to sacrifice, but let's see what happens if you run with the king. It gets complicated, very complicated actually. Check, we have to go here, and now we can take with check. And if we take this, then this hangs. Maybe we can flick in this one. Now we're hitting the queen. And this might actually be good for white. Then we just take this. So even this we might not have to worry about. But I was also thinking we might be able to just take on f3. Give this check. And the king doesn't have many good squares, does it? This is mined. Can't go here. This looks bad. And the king on d6 allows the follow-up queen d6. So is Niemann just in huge trouble here? Gonna reset the position. Quick look at Rosen, who's still trying to defend, but I think that will be a longer game, so we'll sort of keep that in reserve. So Irene plays c5 here, which looks logical. I mean, this doesn't feel too great, does it? And now, okay, the main counterplay must be f4. 94. Can we take on d? No, if we take on d3, I go here. And again, this move, we might just take it. Yeah, we might just take it and give the check. And this king, I don't even know where it goes. It can't be a happy camper either way. I mean, here it's in the way of the rook. I don't know, here. And then just c6 or something. This check we can maybe interpose. Might even go king d2, f3, king c3 maybe. It just doesn't look good. So we already have a move, it seems, knight into g4. So I'm going to reset it like this. So knight g4 was played and Sukander played c6. I think white must be better, you know, just counting. Look at these pawns. And black doesn't really have like a huge immediate threat. Even if we were to lose this, let's say, I mean, we couldn't take this, which we obviously can. I think even this is good for white. Here. Check, maybe just interpose, maybe like this, looks solid. I mean, even this position down the exchange, and again, I'm imagining that we can't take this, I'm just, you know, pointing out how strong these pawns are. And then at the end of the day, you know, we have jacks, jack, weak king, bad coordination. I think it actually just looks fantastic for Sukander. That would be quite the upset. Quite the upset. It's quite a wild game. I think Niemann, yeah, he probably played for complications, but it might be backfiring. Especially after f takes e5, if we go back here. Why not just take? What was wrong with that? I wasn't sure. Takes. I thought queen takes or bishop e3. Is there anything wrong with this? Maybe no. Still looks good. Maybe there's some way to take. And we go here, but no, probably we can just hit the knight, so yeah. I mean, this looked good for black, but after knight g4 it looks like too much. Because now we take another pawn. And these pawns are really fast, and there's not enough danger to the king. Niemann must have missed something, like rook f2, I mean, queen here to go here, and then what? Still no threats, and you don't have this, you don't have this. You only have f4, which looks quite slow. I mean, okay, you do have knight g4, but what I mean, it doesn't really threaten anything immediately. c6, rook e7. And do we have time for b6? Well, Irene has 5 minutes though, which could be a problem. But b6 looks like the move. Yeah, white is definitely low on time. Only 5 minutes against 29 for Niemann. Do we have a move? Let's see. Wait, what? Ah. B6 plate. The time control is 90 minutes for the, well, not for the whole game, 90 minutes for 40 moves, and then you get extra 30 minutes, to move 40. And for the whole game you get 30 seconds for every move you play. So Hans castles, but what happens after b7? What happens after b7? He has to find some counterplay. We're just threatening to make another queen here. Does he have to take and play rook b8? Does it do that? That has to be losing. So he has to find some counterplay. Maybe maybe take on f2 and play f4, something like that. Let's see. We'll see if we have further moves. Ja. Okay, let's see. I wanted to see if there's no delay on follow chess. Whoops. Reykjavik open, live. Okay, yes, he played. Okay, Queen b3 was played. This is the position: Queen b3, Bishop e6, and Queen b4. Still looks good. I mean, the pawns are coming. The pawns are coming. Okay, maybe we'll. It's actually a very exciting game. So this is hanging. Pawns are coming. Looks very bad for Hans. Maybe a quick roundup, see if there are some finished games. Brandon Clark seems to have won. Let's see. Brandon with black, Smith Mora Gambit by Rafael Kracht. Brandon goes for this kind of time enough type of setup. And looks like he just, I clicked something. Yeah, but it looked like, I mean, this position, I mean, black is just up a pawn basically for nothing. Pressure on the c-file. I took an f3. Yeah, because here queen takes and rook is coming over. So rook a4 was actually very, very cheeky. Queen d2, then queen e3. So yeah, smooth sailing here for Brandon Clark. And we have tons of moves now in Casa's game. Let's actually see what happened. Queen d3. Itani played knight g4, allowing the trade. It's a little bit surprising. And Casa gives back the exchange here, figuring that he has the better pawn structure. Probably not enough for a win though. Well, assuming he can, assuming he's even better if black takes on c3, but he played a5, rook c1. Now white must be okay. Must be at least okay. Okay, I want to quickly see something. Okay, looks like we have actually more moves on another server. So let's see what actually happened in the game. So queen b4, perhaps not the best move. Rook e to e8 was played. b7, yeah, that's what we have. Queen to h4. And now c7. Still probably completely winning for white, c7. But this is the blunder. But why? Rook b1. Yeah, rook b1 defends the queen, importantly. So c7 happened, and now we can take on f2 probably. This pin here is annoying. And if we have to take with the king, then we might have some problems because of f4 incoming. So in this position, white actually took with the king, but now f4 probably comes, yeah. And things open up. And the knight is pinned. Ooh, rook g1. Now things are turning around. King g1, g2 check, king d1, queen g4. White can still make a queen, but there's incoming stuff. Irene did make a queen here, but rook f1, queen e1, and now a very nice, actually beautiful finish here by Hans Niemann. He took on e2. Maybe this is something that Sukander simply missed. Queen is pinned, so you have to take with the king. This beautiful finish here. Bishop to g4, checkmate. A little bit fortunate, because I think after rook b1, just protecting the queen, it looks like black is in deep trouble with the pawns, but he managed to survive and found a very nice finish there. One for the tactics books. So quite a game actually. You know, two queens, beautiful checkmate, advanced pawns on both sides. Very wild, and understandably, Sukander was in time trouble, and probably that was her undoing this time around after a well played game. On board one we have well, they're actually already gone, but they have signed the score sheets. It's a draw. Let's see what happened after rook c1. Probably not much. Well, rook c1 was actually and probably the last move. So draw on board 1. Yeah, just a few more moves. It was h5, rook c2, h4 takes, and black offered the draw here. A rook endgame, which probably doesn't hold any prospects for either side. Yeah, Niemann. Yeah, he's finding ways to win. He's finding ways to win here. So let's see. Somebody's saying that Gukesh is progressing. He had this King's Indian where, well, it was difficult to progress. In this position, black did play h4, e takes f5, g takes, now f4. Trying to break things up. And yeah, now he figures I'll just swing over to the king side, because we kind of have dead pieces here for black. So if we get the pieces over to the king side, it might be difficult for black to deal with it. King h1. Yeah, knight h7, otherwise it would hang. I think this is the current position. Knight h7. Rook at g1. King h8 was played. Knight b5, putting pressure here on the pawn. Queen f7. Queen d4 check. Knight f6. Knight back to c3. I think rook a5 is it? And rook b4. So pressure on the pawn, but we can't take advantage of it because of the pin. And now white is ready to bring some pieces over to the king side. And meanwhile this piece is kind of still dead. Yeah, let's switch it over. So probably Gukesh is doing well here. That's my educated guess. But why is it educated? I don't know. What is an educated guess? You tell me. Let's see. Rosen still trying to hold on, but probably difficult. Very difficult. I mean, I think white is simply progressing here with the pawns, bringing the king. We don't have time for this because of bishop f2. And black doesn't really have any counterplay. I mean, these two are kind of under lock and key, no pass pawn, and then this one against these three. So not optimistic for Eric today. Well, let's not say today because we have one more round today, but not optimistic for him in this front. Maybe let's see how our friend the Ginger GM is getting on. He was trying to progress in this ending. We had this position, b3. Okay, played a4, locking another pawn down on a dark square, putting the pawns on light squares. And he went for a similar plan that I expected, with the king coming to f3 and playing f4. But still, it's a case of a little bit a case of, you know, all dressed up, but where to go. I think that Alexander Oliver got some confidence yesterday when he held on for a long time against Abhimanyu Mishra, the youngest GM in the world. So if he can hold against him, down the exchange. Maybe he can hold down here with equal material. But Simon plays g4. And now we might have a change in the structure. It's takes, and black has to decide, does he want to play f5 here or not? If he doesn't, white might continue e4. e4 and then maybe e5, gaining some ground. So f5 is tempting, but on the other hand, it weakens the 7th rank, it weakens the h file, it weakens the g pawn. So pros and cons. Pros and cons for sure. Yeah, this will be difficult to win, but Simon does have a nice time match, 20 minutes against 3. And he does play f5 and the king comes back to f3. Okay, nice sort of positional edge, but what can we really do with it? That's the question. And Simon needs to figure it out, if it's indeed possible to do so. How to rearrange the pieces, I'm not sure. Okay, Oleg Romanishin. I was walking in the tournament hall earlier and saw this move g5. So that's really an attempt by black to play very aggressively. I think this Maxim Marie is the guy that drew against Johan Hjartarson in the first round, so good start for him. And he's attacking the legend with g5 and h5 here. But Oleg is not afraid and plays classically. He answers a flank attack with a strike in the center. You usually can't go wrong with that. Bishop e4, rook c1, and f takes g3. And where is white's attack? Sorry, black's. I don't see it. g4, knight e5. Okay, we do have this mate threat, but it's simply protected here, and we attack the queen. But he's giving up the piece on d2, so is this an intended sacrifice or something that Oleg missed? Let's see, takes, rook c7. Bishop has to go to a6, so definite compensation, maybe e5 at some point. He goes d5 instead. Yeah, I wonder d5 or e5, maybe. E5, maybe bishop a5 is a problem here. So d5 is what Oleg played, bishop a5, rook c to c1. Is this working out for white? I mean, he's down a piece. Maybe he got confused by the flank attack and it was working after all. Okay, anyway, I'm curious to see what Victor Wagner is doing, if he's making any progress. Well, he might be getting a pass pawn here, but how far will it go? Maybe not too far actually. Like this, takes. We try to find a blockade somewhere, and then black needs to worry about this pawn. See, this will be quite an ending to win. Show Tanya game. Yeah, let's have a look at Tanya. She's playing a guy that drew against Oleg in the first round. And I thought earlier when we looked at it that g5 was e5 was a bit weakening. We had this position, let's see, this one. The queen swung around, we had this position, yeah. And Birkir took on f4. And I was not a firm believer in black's position. But let's see. Bishop a2 hits d5, and now the tension is released. Queen d8. So promising position probably for Tanya, but she did have a very promising position yesterday, but missed a move. It should have been easy for her to see, because she's a very good tactician and calculates well. Yeah, but I mean, white's pieces stand so well here. We might even play here. There's a pin here. The rooks look good. The knight can jump in. Could be problems here. Might even just hit this pawn. And it just altogether looks like too much for black to deal with here. And knight d6 is played. Rook f8. Yeah, and I mean, knight is strong here. Maybe just we could pick up a pawn potentially. Just say, okay, I'm up a pawn. Let's just play the game. Or play something like a knight e5, trying to add more pressure. Oops. Yeah, there's potentially also some concrete moves, such as maybe d5. Because no square. If you take knight here, attackaruski, and then check here, protected by the rook, and we take the knight. Sorry, take the bishop. So maybe d5 just concretely wins the game on the spot. d5 might just win on the spot here for Tanya. And she'll find this one. She's not going to miss. She's not going to miss a tactical opportunity like that 2 days in a row. Unless she's not a fan of morning rounds like I am. Trying to stay frisky, but you know, the morning rounds are tricky. And actually we had a lot of buys. Let's check out who took a buy in this round. I know that if Hannes Stefansson was playing, he would have taken a buy, but he was playing the European Championship. So the strongest player taking a buy was Icelandic GM Hjörvar Gretarsson. And then surprisingly, 2 young American players, both Christopher Yu and Abhimanyu Mishra. They took a buy, surprisingly. Björn Þorfinsson took a buy, not surprisingly. Dietmar Kolbus took a buy. Terry Chapman, who lost on board 1 yesterday. So not a buy. Stefan Bergson, Magnus Magnusson, among a number of players taking a buy in this round. So you can take, in the first 7 rounds, you can take 3 half-round buys, which can be useful to save energy, or if you're just, you know, a chess tourist and you want to see the country. So I think Tanya should win this one, with or without d5. d5 might win it on the spot, but I think with or without it, she's going to win this game. And yeah, just I'm still a little bit amazed by it. It was a wild game by Sukander and Niemann. But Niemann found the way. Spectacular finish. I'm wondering, let's see, if we go like 2, maybe 3. yeah, probably black was still winning without queen takes e2, but queen takes e2 is super nice. Do we have Praga still playing? Yeah, I figured Praga was going to be a long game. And he's still going strong. And still nurturing this bishop pair right here. So I figured it would be a long game. Surely. Abhijit Gupta was trying to hold on to what the hell is this guy doing here? Let's see what happened in this one. Okay, let's go way back, deeper and deeper. Way back, deeper and deeper. So we had the queen on b2 in white's territory. And Hilmir went queen d3. Trying to trap the queen, but apparently to no avail, so he has to play very actively here. And he does with e4. No, but now the queen's just getting out, isn't it? And now, yeah, dangerous battery. And at this point, I think it's just a matter of black cleaning up here. He has pawns he can push. And now he's trying to mate queen f1, king there, rook takes, and rook h5. Which should mate in a few moves. So a wild, chaotic game, but probably white put too much on the line in this game, which Hilmir tends to do. Sometimes it works spectacularly, and sometimes it backfires. Don't think Wigner has made any progress. Still queen b1. Let's see how Mats Andersen is getting on. He drew yesterday, so he needs a win here. He's playing Vitali Garbus. So a pawn, but okay, this pawn is under attack. Maybe we can just play d6 though, can't we? But okay, maybe he's worried about knight c6. We're not worried about the pawn, obviously, because of this. But there might be some knight c6. And this could be harder to win, especially with this on the agenda. Yeah, it's probably white just has this. Okay, no, yeah, it's okay. Yeah, this is draw, is maybe just a draw. So Mats needs to find something here, probably. Let's see if Tanya found the move. Still hasn't played. Still hasn't played that move. Okay, Simon's starting to make some inroads into black's position. He now offered a double rook trade. And probably that's because we can't play this because of the jack. So probably bring the king, but then here. And the king is pretty quick. It's pretty quick there. Still not sure if white can win this. And yeah, this honestly this might be holdable for black because okay, let's say, but I mean bishop here or something, or just bring the king. I don't know, bishop here. I guess this is the only plan, but okay, we have counterplay, and now we have this. Well, we can't allow this, so maybe white can't do anything. So Alexander probably should have taken on d3. I brought the king, and now I think Simon should trade one pair of rooks, but not both. Although that's difficult to organize because takes. I mean, if you go over here, there might be just rook here. And if you go rook c1, we can't really take because now the knight doesn't have a square. So probably, yeah, it's going to be difficult to win this. So how's Gukesh getting on? Rook b4, still the last move. Not a move for a while here, and the Frenchman Thibault is down to 10 minutes. Yeah, probably we have a time trouble face now, so let's just quickly move along. Satvani probably still struggling to find something here. I can't see white being worse here at all. It's probably just better. I'm trying to just bring the queen, attack something. I think I prefer white here. So Julian Song, who defeated I think Anna Crowning yesterday. Yes, I'm at the Harpa. That's where we're playing. So Max against Justin perhaps. But Max is simply up an exchange and a pawn. Rook takes f7, maybe g4 should be fine. And he should win this one. This one we haven't looked at. Das Soham against Matthew Cornett. Das 2300, Matthew 2569. And Cornett is up a pawn. It should be pretty safe. Just b5, protect the pawn. Don't see any real threats. Looks very good for Cornett. Stephen Mannion against Peng Li Min. Wow, look at the time. 1:22 for Peng Li Min, but Stephen Mannion has 32 seconds. And he's trying to deal with this strong pass pawn and the knight, although it seems to be pretty well covered at the moment. But some problems, like king t3, rook e1. Where does the knight go? Have to be slightly careful. And white basically has no time. We should see a move soon. Yeah, I'm being told that Birkir Hallmundarsson won. That's a young Icelandic player. Don't believe he was on the live boards. Let's see though, just in case. Yeah, it probably shouldn't be possible. He's a young kid, so he's probably playing in the lower section. In the first few rounds we have an accelerated Swiss, so you can't really get out of your rating section in a way. And after a few rounds, it's all mixed together. Mm-hmm. Okay, let's go back to not getting any moves yet here. And Cook is against Thibault. It's been like this for a while. Well, last time we looked he had 10 minutes, so now he has 5 minutes. Probably he's just still thinking. Let's see how Adiban is getting on. I thought it was a pretty good ending, and I still think it is. White should be able to push eventually here, but like a true grandmaster, taking his time. So perhaps this one is quite interesting, because it could be could be could be one of the upsets of the round. The potential upset was definitely Sukander against Niemann, but Niemann was able to weave his way out of trouble. I'm not sure that Sadhvani can weave his way out of trouble in this one, because White is simply threatening to start winning stuff. Queen a4, and we have 2 pawns hanging. So what does Black do here? We can't go here, trying to challenge the 7th because Rook b8. So how to evict? You can't go here because that hangs the Rook. Maybe you could take, but still I think White is threatening this, and he has the better minor piece, and he's threatening 2 pawns. Okay, we can still kind of defend, but it all seems to lead to a very nice game for White. Here we can maybe bring the knight now, or start with a check and then bring the knight. Meanwhile, there's no counterplay, we're threatening this one. Queen has to come back, and here we might be able to play something like queen takes f5, finally winning some material, assuming the knight comes out, which I think it does. So it looks like a very tough defensive task here for Ronak Sadhvani. Pragnananda still very slow, his progress. Skinning up this pawn, but could be well, we can't really take it because bishop takes e5. Where does the knight go? Take this one. So already, let's say finally finally there could be some concrete problems here for Maria. Maybe she has to go f6 here, I'm not sure. Looks difficult. And a typical position where you know, where the strength of the bishops is always going to be difficult, and eventually the bishops will start to tell. So there's no need to have them, you know, like too active. Just kind of waiting around. There's always, you know, dangers lurking, like coming here, attacking this, coming here, putting more pressure. So White is very solid and just, you know, just holding on to the possessional advantage. Am I excited for the West Ham game? Well, I don't really know who they're playing, so maybe not too excited. But okay, there's a slight chance maybe to get into the Champions League, so who knows? Who knows? Oh, it's West Ham Lyon, it's a Europa League. It's Thursday. Oh, in that case. Might have to figure something out tonight. Okay, Praka should be doing quite well here. And is... What? He's still thinking? According to this, his time is almost finished, but... Surely he must have moved by now. Who knows? I mean, it's a difficult position. I mean, everything is equal still, but black just looks... I mean, the king is stuck in the corner, the knight is pinned. This guy's still bad. Okay, this guy puts pressure here, but otherwise not doing much. And meanwhile, you know, these white pieces are lurking, threatening to come to the h-file. The knight, yeah, this knight might improve. You know, a lot of things in the air. Looks very good for white. So understandable that black is taking a lot of time here. Still a little bit surprised how long it's taking for Adiban to make progress. But like I said earlier, grandmasters take their time. But now at least, you know, there's the d6 square for the knight, the weak pawn on e4. And Eric should probably try to keep this weakness and make white worry about it. Like knight d6, hit it. I think for the time being he should do that, rather than try to get counterplay with f5 and e4 or something. Kind of self-destruct maybe. But who knows, maybe Adiban just wants to now switch things over to the king side, play king d3, protect everything, bishop f2, get the rook in. Start to attack some of the weaknesses. I mean, there are some weaknesses that black needs to worry about. Yeah, there's a question what Sukander could have played differently. The problem with c7, like I mentioned earlier, was that the queen was unprotected. If you go back to this game, very complicated game, the queen is unprotected. So why is that an issue? Because after c7 in the game, Hans took an f2. And now we'd love to take with the bishop, but that hangs the queen. And we're not getting enough here with these guys, because everything is under control with the two rooks and the queen. So a better move would have been rook b1, which protects the queen. And now if we take, we can take with the bishop, and we can sort of avoid the danger on the king side, keep lines closed. There's no check on h1. We can interpose if we need to on g1 with a knight or a bishop, probably a knight. So now a move like f4 is not as dangerous because we can simply go knight e4. True, there's a check, but probably just knight g1. And now we're coming with c7. This knight is strong. This looks super good. So I think the key was to defend the queen, just to play rook b1. But it's probably a very, very difficult move to find in time trouble. And you know what happened in the game, c7 takes. Now we have to take with the king, and now f4, now line's open. The rook is going to come into the game because the knight is pinned. We're going to take on g3 with check. So everything opened up. And white simply didn't have time to make these pawns count. g2 check. And this bishop all of a sudden is strong. And the finish was actually brilliant. Rook f1, queen e1, and takes. So was this mate in 3? This is probably just mate in 3 with rook f1, right? It's mate in 4. Yeah, because the rook can take first, of course. He can take first. So yeah, essentially a mate in 3 after rook f1. anything else, and white is doing quite good actually. So rook f1 was fantastic. You have to interpose, and now it took on e2. Bang! The king runs, there's queen takes e2, followed by this mate, and now the bishop covers this. So the bishops are quite nice in this one. But I love this finish, queen takes e2. Spectacular. Picasso, I like it. What's this? Picasso. Okay. So important win for Niemann. But yeah, Sukander will be. She will be upset. This might be. I'm not sure. Obviously, she's a strong player, but beating these like 26, 30 plus guys can be notoriously difficult. So this might have been one of her best wins if she had managed to finish the game off. But not this time. Not this time around. This board might just be frozen. Okay, I want to check out Vignir. Let's see what Vignir's doing. Also no moves here. Also no moves here. Do we have something on chess.com? Chess.com! Maybe we'll change to chess.com or change the relay if this is what's going on. So queen b1, he took it. Probably not what's happening. Rook b1, rook takes f8. Rook b2, rook d8, rook b1 again, rook f8. Oh no. Oh, actually that's what they played. Rook b3, a4, rook a3, and that's the position. Move 42, they just reached the time control. What happened in Gukesh's game? There are no moves there either. I need to check with the staff. This is weird. Thinking no move. Two. I'm actually going to peek out the door and see if they're still playing. No, actually it looks like board 2 has already finished. It looks like it already finished, but we have no moves either on this broadcast or the other one. Okay, so I'll see if they can fix it. Okay, so let's find some other game we can look at. We're on for 2 hours. That's pretty good. Okay. Oh yeah, that's right. Sukander said yesterday I'll be playing 2 games on my birthday. It's her birthday. Happy birthday to Irene Sukander. That would have been quite the birthday present to beat Hans Niemann. But unfortunately, Hans was perhaps a little bit lucky, but also you kind of make your own luck, don't you? He did complicate the game a lot, so in the end, that's what he wanted to do, and it worked out, so it is what it is. Very good, very nice. Very good, very nice. Simon, how are you getting on, son? King of 7. Don't we have any more moves? I don't believe that. Don't believe the hype. Simon Kim Williams. King f7 is also the last move here. So maybe it's normal that people take their time when they reach move 40. Although this one hasn't reached move 40. But it's normal that people take their time a little bit. Especially after they reach move 40. But this looks weird. So more texts. More text. Could be some problems maybe with the relay. That's always a possibility, but it's been going well so far, so I don't know. Here. Flummoxed. What's flummoxed? Flummoxed is what I think it means. Then I am, yes, because it seems like some of the relays have almost just completely stopped. Okay, let's see how Oleg got on. No moves here forever as well. Okay, let's refresh. I mean, something is off here. Something is definitely off. This was port 25. There's no way that nothing has happened here for like half an hour. Okay, we probably reached the time control, so I'm gonna take a break and check out what's going on, because this makes no sense. I'll leave you with Praka's webcam playing against Marina. I'll go check things out, and hopefully we'll be back soon.
purest tasting water on Earth, born from untouched lands, naturally filtered through ancient lava rock. You are what you drink. Be a force of nature. Icelandic glacial. The purest tasting water on Earth, born from untouched lands, naturally filtered through ancient lava rock. You are what you drink. Be a force of nature. Icelandic glacial.
Okay, we're finally back, and I think the problem has been fixed. It was some kind of relay problem. The games simply weren't uploading, so we can check out Gukesh, and the game actually finished a long time ago, and we were stuck on this position of the rook a5, rook b4, which is what? Supposed to be a blunder? Why you say blunder? Okay, could have played knight f3, but okay, he's not throwing anything away. But this is still the last move. To black to sign. I mean, okay, admittedly it's hard to move. I'm not. Let's see. I see Simon's game has uploaded, and I'm not optimistic on his behalf at the moment. Let's see anyway. So it says rook b4, double question mark. White wins. Okay, so no more moves. Apparently Adeban won against Rosen. We saw the end game at some point. Let's see. We saw this position. Yeah. In fact, this exact position. And still no moves. I thought we had moves. What's going on? Okay, maybe we could check out Simon's game. If we have moves in Simon's game, then everything should be okay. And we don't. Okay, let's try to refresh. Because I saw the moves had updated on another site, so let's see what's going on. Nothing happening. What's going on? Now I'm on the... No, I'm not. Okay, now I'm just super confused. I'm flummoxed, apparently. It's a better word. I'm flummoxed. Okay. Round 2. We're trying to find port 23. Simon Kim Williams. No moves. If that's the case, we're simply not getting moves. Tanya managed to win, and we still didn't get a move. Yeah, apparently we're not getting any moves updated to the lead chess study, the lead chess broadcast. So we're kind of stuck. We do have results, though. I think we're just going to go over them, and well, actually, please have moves. No, we don't have moves. I have no clue why this isn't updating. Because we're getting results, but not the moves. Okay, let's see. I'm just going to go over the results from the second round so far, and then we will call it for this round, and we'll be back later today when we have the third round. So on board 1, Kasakorli and Itanipoya, they drew. The top seeds managed to win on boards 2, 3, and 4. Gukesh, relatively smooth game against the King's Indian. Hans Niemann, tough game, the most exciting game of the round so far. And Adibana won against Eric Rosen, looked relatively smooth, won a pawn, and didn't have any particular problems. Sadvani might be struggling, even Pragnananda as well. We're not getting the moves. I walked by the table earlier and Pragnananda was down a piece somehow. I don't know how that happened. And then we have Gupta winning, we have Max Varmadam winning, Alexander Fier winning, Cornet, Sebastian Masse. Most of the favorites are winning in this round. Thomas Pearson. Not a lot of upsets. It looks to me like Vigner is going to draw his game. So most of the top boards have finished. So I'm going to get some rest like the players, and we will be back later today with the third round, and hope to see you then. Bye bye.
The purest tasting water on earth, born from untouched lands, naturally filtered through ancient lava rock. You are what you drink. Be a force of nature. Icelandic glacial. The purest tasting water on earth, born from untouched lands, naturally filtered through ancient lava rock. You are what you drink. Be a force of nature. Icelandic glacial. The purest tasting water on earth, born from untouched lands, naturally filtered through ancient lava rock. You are what you drink. Be a force of nature. Icelandic glacial. The purest tasting water on earth, born from untouched lands, naturally filtered through ancient lava rock. You are what you drink. Be a force of nature. Icelandic glacial. The purest tasting water on earth, born from untouched lands, naturally filtered through ancient lava rock. You are what you drink. Be a force of nature. Icelandic glacial. The purest tasting water on earth, born from untouched lands, naturally filtered through ancient lava rock. You are what you drink. Be a force of nature. Icelandic glacial. The purest tasting water on earth, born from untouched lands, naturally filtered through ancient lava rock.